Hello everyone! Today we will tackle about human trafficking. First, what is human trafficking?
According to Interpol, human trafficking is a form of organized crime that is similar to modern-day slavery. It violates human dignity and rights for financial benefit. Deception or coercion are used to transport target victims between countries and regions. But even so, trafficking can occur within a country or community without the need for transport. Human traffickers take advantage of their victims' vulnerabilities and exploit or deceive them. Victims lose their autonomy, freedom, and choice.
They are compelled to work in dangerous situations and forced to follow their traffickers' or clients' orders. Women are groomed and coerced into performing sexual acts, recruited in private homes only to find themselves being trapped and abused behind closed doors with no way out. Men are deceived into accepting risky job offers and becoming trapped into forced labors. Victims are subjected to physical and mental abuse.
There are many types of human trafficking, the vast majority of which is in the form of forced labor wherein traffickers exploit gaps in law enforcement. Sex trafficking accounts for a sizable portion of all human trafficking. Victims are coerced or deceived into prostitution or to stay in prostitution. That bondage coerces victims through the use of unlawfully exploiting initial debt and keep them under subjugation. Criminals have taken advantage of trafficking for organ removal. They seize the opportunity of situations to take advantage of desperate patients and potential donors. And these are just among the many forms of human trafficking.
Now that we know what is human trafficking, why is it worthy of moral evaluation?
Human trafficking is a crime against humanity, and those who are victims takes the burden of the consequences. While human trafficking is a global phenomenon with no international borders, it's far-reaching and widespread in fact and recognized inside individual countries and societies. Human trafficking affects more than 130 countries. Human trafficking has a number of major social, political, and economical consequences as well as important policy implications in each of those sectors.
Human trafficking has an impact on the individuals and victimizes in all areas of their lives. Every stage of the trafficking process can involve physical, sexual, and psychological abuse and violence, deprivation and torture, the forced use of substances, manipulation, economic exploitation, and abusive working and living conditions. Unlike most other violent crime, trafficking usually involves prolonged and repeated trauma. Documentation and research describe how men, women, and children are abused in specific exploitative conditions.
Studies indicate that trauma worsens during the trafficking process and may persist far beyond the end of an exploitation. While subject to the same harmful treatment as adults, child victims are especially vulnerable to trafficking because of their age, immaturity, and lack of experience to abusive practices that may, for example, stunt their further physical development and to continued victimization as a result of attachment, developmental, and social difficulties.
Indeed, human trafficking presents a dangerous threat to the human rights and human dignity of many people each year. What should be done in order to quell such a crime?
Nowadays, many people, especially women and children, are victims of human trafficking. Some do not even know that they are already victims. To quell human trafficking, government agencies and non-government organizations must conduct advocacies and information drives, especially to the remote and poor areas, because most of the victims are those who are poor. Hasten the prosecution process and jail the traffickers. The fight against human trafficking can be applied to the lives of people around the world.
Being aware of the signs that someone may be a victim of human trafficking enhances the chance of reporting and gives those vulnerable victims the power of speaking out for themselves. In addition, holding a fundraising activity and donating money to the organization that works to fight against human trafficking not only raises funds for the cause, but also raises awareness about the issue of human trafficking.
Furthermore, volunteering against human trafficking is not a waste of time and effort. The more the volunteers, the more the awareness can be. Also, advocating and contacting the local, state, and powerful officials shows them that their constituents are concerned about human trafficking. This raises the chances of the authorities doing something about it. Also, when you're going overseas, it's a good idea to seek out the country's emergency phone number so that you can report a trafficking victim quickly.
Another we can do
is to help the survivors, donate clothing and other items to the victims, encourage companies to hire survivors, allowing them to get back on their feet and begin a new life. If possible, providing survivors with legal guidance helps them to not only move ahead, but also to obtain justice. Helping survivors and helping to their rehabilitation breaks the cycle of trauma and guarantees that it will not happen again.
Stop and fight human trafficking.